as a Jamaican, one thing I would never allow anybody to do is to pretend like they're more Jamaican than me. There is nobody more Jamaican than me. I don't matter where I live, for how long. There's nobody more Jamaican than me. Jamaica is my home and will always be my home. So I just want to relate to some people who like to pretend that somehow they have more authority as Jamaicans than other Jamaicans. People, don't try that with me. Anyway, this is the deep dive. Tonight, I want to do a small expose, and a friend of mine actually sent me a reminder uh, about the good that the PNP has done and in it he threw some things that the JLP has done. And I agree. I agree with him. I'm not going to name the gentleman, but I want to dedicate this deep dive to my former colleague. We graduated from the police academy in 1982, Mr. Wayne Shaw, who passed away, I think yesterday. I want to wish his family well at this time, this really, really sad time. I just take a moment of silence. Thank you for indulging me. Few people have had more grace in Jamaica than former Prime Minister Michael Manley. And as it's election time, there is this constant romanticization of the Manleys. Not that Michael Manley hasn't done anything good, or that he has, for his followers and supporters, and those who would rewrite history, that he never did anything bad and he was this glorious, glorious man. But tonight I want to give you a factual analysis of Michael Manley, and I will lay the facts out there for you, and you can assess them for yourselves. Because today, everything can be verified, you can look it up for yourself and determine whether what I'm going to say to you is true or not. Excuse me. There's been this terrific effort to romanticize everything Michael Manley did. And the Manley name is everywhere in Jamaica. Not just Michael, but his father's name and his mother's name. At one point I felt like they would name everything Manley that wasn't nailed down. If it was nailed down, they would name it Manley. And the only thing that would escape was if it wasn't nailed down, it probably escaped being named Manley, especially during the PNP time in office. They literally named everything Manley. But I want to remind you that few periods in Jamaica's post-independence history are as polarizing and as damaging as the Michael Manley years. Despite all you hear on the romanticization and the canonizing of Michael Manley. Manley swept into power in 1972 and a populist wave of better must come. Y'all remember that? Better must come, those of you old enough. I was in school, but I remember. Manley positioned himself as a champion of the poor and the architect of the more equitable Jamaica. What followed, however, was not upliftment, but upheaval. His first term from 1972 to 1980 was a catastrophic experiment in democratic socialism that left the economy in tatters, the society more divided, and the nation teetering on the edge of collapse. Yes, I was a boy in school, but I remembered it. Manley's infatuation with Castro's Cuba and his flirtation with Soviet-style ideology turned Jamaica into a Cold War pawn and a pariah among traditional allies. Let's not forget, his open hostility towards private enterprises, foreign investors, and multinational lenders turned off the taps of much-needed capital. No money was coming in. Investments dried up, and the brain drain accelerated. And by the end of the 1970s, the economy had contracted, inflation soared, and the Jamaican dollar was in free fall. Now, one of the things that you're going to hear in protest to this or in response to this is you're going to hear these three letters: CIA, CIA, CIA. So get ready. And they're going to tell you how there's this new CIA document out that said that it was the CIA that did this. And to that I say, the CIA is in every country. And the CIA is everywhere. What we went through, what Jamaica went through in the 70s was bad governance. Now, tonight I'm talking about Michael Manley. Tomorrow I'll talk about Edward Seaga. And then I'll talk about PJ Patterson. And then I'll talk about Portia Simpson Miller. And I'll get to Bruce Golding. And I will get to Andrew Onis as the election gets closer. So let's continue with the Michael Manley scenario. What began as a noble sounding pursuit of social justice descended into demagoguery, class warfare, and a disturbing erosion of civil liberties. Political violence reached new heights, abetted by heavily harmed garrison communities. And tribal politics that Manley himself did little to dismantle. In fact, many would argue that Michael Manley entrenched them. Under his rule, the People's National Party wasn't just a political organization. It became an ideological crusade. And any opposition, remember this, was framed as betrayal of the Jamaican people. You're hearing it today. Poor people, they love poor people, they love poor people. Michael Manley promised empowerment, but instead presided over a Jamaica where queues, lines for basics goods stretched for hours, where foreign reserves dried up, and where the middle class, the engine of any modern economy, fled in droves. You remember the 5 flights a day he said people should leave? By the time he was ousted in 1980, Jamaica wasn't rising. It was reeling. And then came his second act by 1988, after nearly a decade in the political wilderness. Remember this, Manley returned, supposedly reformed, talking the language of markets and liberalization. But Jamaica wasn't fooled. They elected him. The damage from his first tenure was still being felt. The debt burden had multiplied. The social rot deepened and the institutions weakened, while Manley now mouthed neoliberal platitudes. The ideological contradictions of his earlier rule continued to haunt his leadership and his party. That is a fact. And though Manley's rhetoric softened, the results remained underwhelming. Manley presided over continued economic stagnation and a society still suffering from the divisions and the dysfunctions his earlier tenure had exacerbated. Those are the facts. He may have traded in his dashiki for a suit, but the ghost of 1970s socialism never truly left his side or left Jamaica. In the end, Manley remains a cautionary tale of idealism, untethered from pragmatism, of charisma, unmoored from competence. He sold Jamaica a dream, but delivered a nightmare. The legacy of his leadership is not just in the slogans and speeches, but in the economic ruin, political violence, and social fragmentation that echoed long after he stepped down. Michael Manley will truthfully be remembered not as the liberator of Jamaican people, but as the man who, through arrogance and ideological obsession, set a nation back by decades. That's the legacy of Michael Manley. Let it be understood that Michael Manley was no salvation to our country, and the ghost of the Manley years, the period between 1972 to 1980 and the period 1988 to 1992, still haunt Jamaica to this very day. Thank you for listening to me. This has been the deep dive. If you haven't yet subscribed to my channel, please do so now. If you have subscribed, please like the video. Please leave us a comment. You're free to say whatever you want to say, as long as you keep it respectful and follow the community guidelines of this platform. Please leave us a comment, give us a like if you feel like it. We appreciate it. Thank you very much.